It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It is showtime. Geno Jones Showtime. I guess you can say, or I guess you're saying it, G. Hey, we can see, we can read, we can see that big sign behind you. Hey, I'm coming to you live Monday through Friday. Normal start dates, start time, 6:30 p.m. here on the East Coast, 5:30 Chicago, a little after 3:30, about 3:31, 3:32 out in Los Angeles, and on the West Coast. The Geno Jones Show is brought to you by City Vibes Bar and Lounge, 9730. So I'll make sure you get that address right, 9730 Dorchester Road. You can follow City Vibes. It is the ultimate adult spot to check out. Yes, here, not just here in the Carolinas, on the East Coast. So check it out, 9730 Dorchester Road. Follow City Vibes on Instagram and Facebook. And the Geno Jones Show is brought to you by the Crate Group. And the Crate Group presents the Low Country Meets the Oscars Awards Gala to honor and recognize unsung heroes that's been doing great work, serving, working for the community and the culture for a long time. In some cases, years, some cases, decades. All right? Get your tickets, get your tables now. It's going to be like a pre-red carpet deal. It's going to be great. I had a chance to host the pre-red carpet deal, and I was a co-MC, so I'll be back again this year. So I would love to see you, so get your tickets. And the Crate Group is one of the nonprofits that is really doing God's work, and it's really, really been serving the community from our young people, mentoring young men, working with young women, taking care of those, helping to take care of those in need, our elderly. Shout out to Kendrick, brother Al Bannister, the CEO of the Crate Group. Get your tickets and tables today. As soon as the show is over, or maybe while you're watching me, you can call and get your tickets, 843-900-7904. That's the 843 area code 900-7904. All right, so today the monologue is going to be a little different. I want to start off by talking about self-care. And I know it's hard because it can really be hard this time of year. You know, we just had Thanksgiving. In many cases, people have family. Either you're going to visit family, or you got family coming in, and you want everything to be perfect, and you want if you eat turkey, the turkey and the trimmings and all that. You want the house to be right, the house to be clean, and you know everybody to be happy, and then we got Christmas, which is that's a whole nother. I mean, it's a wonderful time of year, but a lot of times we put so much undue stress on us. Financially, we put pressure on ourselves. We allow others, sometimes even our family members, not even intentionally in most cases, just expectation, obligation, or because you have been the one you've provided, made sure if you're in a position in your family to make sure that you can bless your family with gifts, money, whatever. And it's just it can be, but it also can be a very, very a difficult time of the year, because it's a time of year where we reflect back, and if you've lost someone that you love, the holidays can be very, very difficult, especially those first couple of holidays, without that special loved one. It could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a spouse. So it could be, it could be a co-worker. It could be very tough. It could be very tough. So the one thing I want to start up, just encourage all of us, everybody, to make sure that you are taking time to take care of you, because you can't take care of anyone else until you really, fully take time to take care of yourself. And for millions of us, like 75 million of us, coming after November 5th, which was um, just deflating, depressing, um, just created a sense of disillusionment and disappointment and despair, anger, so many different emotions. Make sure it is time, I cannot stress this enough, to please engage in self-care. We have jobs, we have businesses, we have careers that we emotionally invest in. Listen, and I'm speaking from experience. I love the career that I'm in. I've been in media for over 30 years now, well over 30 years. I know what it's like, the excitement. My first time, I was very blessed. My first radio job to be on the radio was actually in my birthplace, hometown of Chicago, which is very rare for a person especially back in the day. We're talking about the mid 80s. You know, you still in college and you get a chance to actually be on the air in a city like Chicago. It was rare, but it happened, and I traveled really all over the country. Left Chicago, went to Milwaukee for a year. So went to Milwaukee for a year, went to Birmingham for a half a year, 5 months, and moved to Pittsburgh and spent 3 years in Pittsburgh, and I broke up that 3-year period. For in between the 3 years, I was in Pittsburgh for a year, then went to LA, and then a morning radio show for a year, and then went back to Pittsburgh for 2 years, and then went back home to Chicago for a couple of years, and then Detroit for 3 years, and Memphis, and here. Next March, I will have been here doing radio for 20 years. And I've been doing my TV show here on YouTube now. October marked the 4th year. So the Geno Jones Show, as you know, if you watch on a regular basis, turned 4 years old. Had a fourth birthday in the beginning of October. So, but I really want to stress, and I really want to take time to stress that we make sure that we are engaging in self-care, because there are many of us, and that we focus on taking care of everybody. You know, our sons, our daughters, our grandchildren. You have some people, they call it the sandwich generation. They're taking care of children and elderly parents. As I step away from the camera here, and let me do a little something, and I will talk to you while I'm off camera, and I'm just checking something. That's what I love about doing live TV. So I'm starting off the show just talking about the importance of self-care. And because this time of the year can be hard. Life can be hard. And like I say, life be lifing, all right? But this time of the year it's a wonderful time of the year, but like I said, for many people, it's a very difficult time of the year, and there's a lot of anxiety and pressure and stress and expectations, and it can really weigh you down. And our mental health and emotional health and physical health and spiritual health, for those who believe in higher power or who are spiritual people, they're all connected. Because the mental absolutely affects not just the emotional, but the physical part too. Anxiety, stress, depression, any other, just whatever you're dealing with your mental health can absolutely affect your physical health. So I can't stress enough how important it is. It's okay to unplug from everything and everybody. Give yourself, however much time you need. Unplug for a weekend or a week or 2 weeks, or take a leave of absence if that's what you need, and if you can figure out a way to afford it. Do whatever you need to do for yourself, because you only get one you, and tomorrow's not promised to any of us. And it is so important. And life will continue to go on, and life will be lifing. When you're not here anymore, when none of us are not here, life will continue to go on. So it's so important that you emotionally invest primarily first into yourself, and then second to the people that mean the most to you, your immediate family, be it your children, your parents, your spouse, and then, invest into that career, business. Now, it's easy for me to say this at the stage in my career, even though my media company is relatively new, but I've been in this field for over 3 decades now. And I've had to learn. I've had my wake-up calls, and I've had that alert, and my body has kind of said, "Hey, okay," it's giving me my wake-up. I've had my wake-up calls to where I had to learn how to manage, stress differently, and I've learned to do that, and I've had great doctors. I have a great doctor now. My doctor, who was my doctor for 20 years until he retired 2 years ago, Dr. Ted Dunn, and now Dr. James Rowe, are great doctors. And the one thing I love about them, so I get my annual physical every year, complete physical, complete blood work, and just go through, check for everything, the EKG, the whole 9 yards. But they always, and I remember when Dr. Dunn, my first primary care doctor that I had for nearly 20 years, he would always ask me, say, "How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Mentally, are you stressed? Because now I realize that, because they ask sometimes, have you ever had thoughts of suicides? So a lot of doctors, good doctors, when you get an annual physical, will, in a kind of subtle way, will inquire about your mental health. Because every year I didn't think anything of it for a while, because they would check your physical. Well, how you doing? And have you been depressed, anxiety? How well you sleep? Have you had thoughts of suicide? It was just like routine, so you don't think anything of it. Then you realize it's like, oh wow. So they're checking to see, how's your mental health? How are you? How are you dealing with stress and anxiety? Are you dealing with any level of depression or things like that? And it's so important, but it all begins with taking time for you. Some people may think that's being selfish. Some people might call you selfish. People gonna call you, listen, as my grandmother said, people talked about God and Jesus. So who are you to be talked about? And in essence, I'm paraphrasing things my grandmother used to tell me, and my mother tells me to this day, who's watching me right now. So I just wanted to start off the show by just encouraging everybody. And I know it's hard. When it's hard for you if you are a caregiver. It's hard for you if you are the one with the big heart, if you're the giver, because unfortunately in this world, there are givers and there are takers. But the givers have to learn to say no. And the takers they'll throw a tantrum and a fit, and they'll try to make you feel guilty that you won't allow them to continue to take. They'll try to make you feel guilty because you're saying, no, I'm going to prioritize myself and my self-care and my mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. And if that means I got to tell you, no, I can't do it, or no, I won't do it, or no, I just don't feel like doing it, not because I don't love you, but because it's just I don't have it in me, or I just need that energy. I need to pour it on me right now. I need to engage in self-care. Don't feel guilty about that. Not at all. Because those takers, when they drain you emotionally and spiritually and mentally, physically and financially, they will, it's like a leech, they'll find another host to drain until they can't drain them anymore. So I wanted to really stress that and shout out to a co-worker who we lost this morning. So a big shout out and rest in peace. His family, his next of kin, they've been notified. The company did release a press release to the media. So it is, it's okay for me to mention it here on my show because it's already public knowledge. But a guy named Mike Edwards, he worked on our sister station, Mix 95.9, two girls and a guy. Mike he was in management. He was what we call a program director who oversaw the programming of his radio station, and he was a part of their morning show with Tanya and Brooke. And they had been together for about 20 years. They were here in Charleston, South Carolina. Then they went to Portland for a while, the three of them as a morning team, and then they came back here. So they've been back here, I think, for about 15 years. And he didn't show up to work this morning, and his coworkers, they knew that wouldn't like him. They contacted somebody, a friend, somebody who knew him, and they contacted the police to go by his place and do a wellness check, and they found him. He had passed away. Found him in his house. So it is so important. And none of us, I don't know his cause of death. None of us know. Nobody knows as of now. But the point I'm trying to make is that, and I know Mike and I, we became very good friends. He was a really good guy. You know, just some people are just decent people. They have a level of empathy and humanity and compassion. And Mike was that kind of guy. You know, most of the time he had a smile on his. The times when I seen him, I can't really remember. And I didn't work with him or for him, but you know, he always, you know, we laughed and joked a lot, and his office was right across the hall from my studio, so we became very good friends, and we respected each other's work. He would always just pay compliments to my work and how my radio show performed, and you know, our station, you know, has always been dominant in this market. But he just really respected my work, and I respected his work. He was, you know, he was excellent in what he did, and so to get the feedback I got from Mike, I appreciated it, and we just grew to, you know, we talked about. As a matter of fact, we talked more about life and family and, you know, politics than we did station business. And he was just really a good dude. He's a good human. You have some people who are very talented, great at what they do, successful in business, but horrible, lousy, evil, lying, conniving, sociopathic users. But he wasn't that kind of person. So he was, you know, he was very talented, excellent in what he did, but even a better person. So rest in power, Brother Mike. Rest in power. Rest in peace. Rest in paradise. Rest in power to Brother Mike Edwards. Just wanted to shout him out and encourage everybody to engage in some self-care. Now, let me make a hard pivot here before I get out of here. So, shout out to the MAGA brothers and sisters out there, and those who maybe don't consider yourself part of the cult, but you voted for the cult leader. Because now we are about to go into the find out phase. And I don't wish that on people, but my grandmother had a saying that, you know, you don't believe fat meat is crazy. But, you know, I see Elon Musk, you know, going to the U.S. Capitol, and the other dude, Vivek Ramaswamy, and these guys are part of the cult leaders' team, and talking about cutting, $3 trillion, $2 trillion, and talking about cutting SNAP programs, and there's all this talk about cutting Social Security and Medicare, and now here's the interesting thing. So Elon Musk has about 300 government contracts. He's got this company, SpaceX and Tesla, and then another company. So he's got $3 billion in government contracts, which is a conflict of interest. But he's saying that there's going to be pain, and we need to cut $2 trillion because we got to, we have to we have to live within our means. Now, I haven't heard Mr. Musk or the other dude, Mr. Vivek Ramaswamy, who's a billionaire also. But I know for a fact that Mr. Musk has got contracts totaling $3 billion with the federal government contracts. So I'm like, well, hell, if you want to cut $2 trillion, he's talked about, federal government, basically, the federal government employs, I think, like somewhere around 3 million people, maybe more than that, somewhere 3, 4, 5 million. I'm probably a little off. I know that just the defense department, the entire military complex, like the head of whoever is going to be the Secretary of Defense, the Department of Defense, 3 million people. But if you got these government contracts, and you're getting $3 billion in government contracts, I don't hear you talking about cutting, or maybe we can phase out some of my contracts. Or better yet, all of these billionaires, because he's surrounded himself, the cult leader, all of a sudden, all these people that he's either named to be in his cabinet, virtually all of them are billionaires. Now, remember, he gave billionaires a huge tax cut back in 2017. He gave billionaires and CEOs in these corporations a huge tax cut, and then bragged about it and said, congratulations, you all are now a whole lot richer. That was a quote. And now here he is, after saying that, I'm for the working people, and then but what he did is that he used, and I'm just going to give it to you straight, he used racism, hatred, bigotry, fear, and misogyny. The racism, the homophobia, the transphobia, making people think, whoa, what you really, well, first of all, the country's being invaded by Haitians who are eating your cats and dogs, or being invaded by Venezuelan gangs, or people from Mexico or Central America. Now, what they don't tell you is that the majority of people who are here illegally, who overstay like their visa, they fly into the country. And they are primarily from European countries. They don't tell you about that. You never hear about people from Ireland or from Germany or from Ukraine or Lithuania or Poland that overstayed their visas. Now, you don't hear about that. You probably don't know about that, but you do now. But you've got all these billionaires who pay less, a percentage of their income or money. They pay less in taxes than a teacher, a school teacher, or a nurse, or janitor does. So if the government needs more money, you got all these billionaires, hey, maybe if y'all just paid your fair share of taxes, maybe if you paid taxes at the level like I do, or you do, that nurses that work at a hospital, or teachers, or firefighters, firemen, or police officers, or if you are, like a public transportation, if you drive a bus in your city, or a motorman or motor woman, if you have rapid transit, like we have L trains and subways in Chicago, New York, and Atlanta, and San Francisco, and other cities, Philadelphia. So maybe if just the billionaires, because now since you're in the government, it's like, well, maybe we could pay our fair share. No, that's not the plan. See, the plan is to cut your Social Security, or your mom or your grandparents' Social Security, and then to cut their Medicaid. And if you or a family member is on SNAP, food assistance, to cut that. To get rid of your health care that you got through the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, which some people, I hate Obamacare, until they realize, the insurance that you have, like in Kentucky, it's called K-Care, Kentucky Care, K-Care. When they realized that, and shout out to their governor, Andy Beshear, that was smart of you. He was like, okay, I can't call it that because they don't like no Negroes, so I can't get these poor white people to, allow me to take this federal money so I can help them. I can help their poor ass who've never had insurance, no dental insurance, no health insurance, so you can get insurance so you can buy some teeth and put them in your mouth. Or so that you or your family member can go to see a doctor and realize that you've got a tumor growing in your body and get some health care where you can afford to have surgery and save your life. Because that happened in many, many cases. So I just, to the MAGA brothers and sisters into the MAGA cult, now you're about to really see the con and the hustle. And I don't take any glee in that, because you have millions of people who voted for the cult leader and millions of people who did not vote for the cult leader are going to suffer. Right. There's some poor, rural, racist white people who are going to suffer if they go through with all these programs, who will there'll be a cut in their Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid, or who will lose their SNAP benefits, or who will lose Head Start. Their grandkids, the children won't be able to go to Head Start. They won't have the money to afford it. It's just a few things. So we're about to go into the find out phase. And now, to bring it home to my African American brothers and sisters. Oh, by the way, a lot of we haven't even talked about the mass deportation on day one to my Hispanic, Latino brothers and sisters, especially a lot of my Latino brothers who voted for the cult leader, because you say, well, he ain't coming for me, he just coming for the criminals. No, he coming for you and your mom and your grandmother or your aunt and uncle, who maybe when they came here and they brought you here, you were born here, but they weren't born here. So, and the dude, Mr. Tom Holman, part of one of the cult leader on the team, that said, we'll just deport the whole families. But you voted for this. So, and I take no glee in it, because I don't take glee in seeing anyone suffer. But to my African American brothers and sisters, the 92% of black women and the roughly 80%, 81, 82% of black men who voted for freedom as opposed to oppression. Many of us already knew that America has never really had love for us collectively as black Americans, African Americans. Our ancestors weren't brought here to generate wealth for themselves or their descendants, us. our ancestors were brought here to generate wealth for other people, a small handful of people. The billionaire class, they would be considered the billionaire class. But they used race and racism and this made up construct of race, which is made up bullshit, but they did that so they could make sure that the poor and working class white people felt that our enslaved ancestors were a threat to them. And somehow that if our ancestors became free and were allowed to pursue, the pursuit of happiness, that whole, what's that, the Declaration of Independence? Every man should be able to, I'm paraphrasing, engage in their pursuit of happiness, that somehow it would take something away from them. So they allowed them to be like the overseers of our ancestors. Now, they were never going to be wealthy enough to own plantation and buy slaves, but they made them think but you better than them. So we're going to let you brutalize and oversee those Africans because they're dangerous, they're dark, and the men are dangerous, and they're well endowed, and if they'll rape your women, and they'll be ruined, and the women will never go back to you, and the women were over-sexualized Jezebels and hot, and all this made up BS to pit one group against another. Lyndon Johnson, former president, a Southerner from Texas, paraphrasing the statement that he made, a famous quote: if you make the poorest white man feel like he's better than the best black man, he'll give you all his money. I'm paraphrasing the quote. Say, hell, he'll give you all his money, all of it. And that was this election. Now, you got to worry about, what they say, Kamala Harris is for them, they. Donald Trump is for you. Well, you're about to find out how much he was really for you. It's about taking from you. Stealing from the poor sounds like Robin Hood. Steal from the poor, give to the rich. But Robin Hood, it was reversed. Take from the rich to give to the poor. Well, he's the reverse Robin Hood. He wants to take from the poor and working class and give to the billionaires who already got a huge tax cut. But for black Americans, we've known that nobody was going to come save us. Barack Obama wasn't going to save us. We're proud of him. Many of us still are. We were proud of Kamala Harris, but they weren't going to save us. But they didn't want to erase our history, and they didn't want to destroy us. But the cult thinks less of poor and working class white people than they do black people. Now, I know the MAGA cult members is watching, or some of the handkerchief head black folks that believe if they just shuffle and tap dance and buck and yes, massa, yes, boss, they think less of you because they feel you don't have any dignity or self-respect. So, but for black Americans, we knew nobody was going to save us, for us, by us. FUBU. It was a company started in the 90s. Damon John, who's on this TV show Shark Tank with Mark Cuban, they came up with an apparel company, clothing company, FUBU, for us, by us, FUBU. It's called an acronym, where there's a word and every letter represents its own individual word. FUBU, F for you, us, B by you, us. That's where you get FUBU from, for us pilots. We're all we got, but we're really all we need. Because our ancestors went through all this, the end of Reconstruction, with a whole lot less. We have $3 trillion. Black Americans have anywhere between, I keep hearing numbers, minimum $1.5 trillion to $3 trillion with a T, trillion dollars in spending power. So we need to use that and flex that and let these companies who voted against our interest. I talked about Walmart, some other companies, I think Home Depot. So I'm about to call all these companies out. Say, let's call for a blackout, which means we're out. Black folks, we're gonna be out when it comes to spending money. Apparently Walmart's Black Friday shopping numbers shot down because Walmart recently goes to show you that even CEOs and people in high places are not that smart. They made this statement before Black Friday and just assumed black people wouldn't hear it or would just, be like, well, okay. So they made an announcement, Walmart publicly announced that they were gonna be ending their racial, what did they call it? Let me make sure I got it right. They were ending their racial equity training. So they were saying audit racial equity in a company and, making sure that, racism is not, racial equity training, we don't give a damn. Ain't no equity. And guess what? Y'all gonna keep coming to Walmart and buying TVs. Oh, by the way, after January 20th, when these tariffs kick in and that TV that was on sale, a 65-inch TV that was on sale for $600 or $500, when it's $1,000 or $1,500 next Christmas, you can thank your cult leader for that. But that's a whole different monologue. I just wanted to, as they say to my MAGA cult members, my MAGA cult brothers and sisters out there, as we stay on the south side of Chicago, just want to put you up on game. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and especially you, God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. Live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. live in Los Angeles. Subscribe, share, screen grab, rip some of the video, make it go viral. Like, binge watch all my back episodes. Leave your comments in my comment section. And shout out to everybody, because my mother, my number one fan, my executive producer. Thank you for watching. I love you. Thank you for telling everybody to subscribe to my channel. The Geno Jones Show, brought to you by City Vibes Bar and Lounge, 9730 Dorchester Road. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook. And the Crate Group presents The Low Country Meets the Oscars, an awards gala to celebrate the unsung heroes who will get plenty of shine, and we're gonna shine a spotlight on them, who've been doing great work in the community and our culture and here in our Low Country area. And many of them never got recognized. They don't do it for attention. They don't do it for celebration. They don't do it for the cameras, the lights, camera, and action. They do it because they understand the assignment. And because God placed it on them hard, placed it on their heart to use their resources and influence and platform, money, whatever, to be a vessel, as my mother tells me, to allow God, even if you don't believe in God, you are a vessel. When you do good, you are allowing yourself to be a vessel to help, to bless other people. Even if you don't believe in God, karma is real. And when you allow yourself to be a vessel to spread good karma and good energy, that's your energy. And guess what? That good karma and good energy that you put out, it's going to find its way back home. It's going to find its way back to you. But so will the bad karma. Oh yeah, the bad karma. And when that bad karma hits, woo! And it don't come back the way it went out. That bad karma, when you catch up to it, because just because you haven't run into it yet, don't worry. It ain't behind you. You think all the dirt you did is behind you? Oh, no, it's in front of you. You just haven't run into it yet. But don't worry. You'll get there. It'll catch up with you. You will run into it. And when you do, whoop, it ain't going to be pretty. All right. Shout out to Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. He is the CEO of Designer Cuts in the Charleston, South Carolina Metro. Check him out on Instagram, Kel B Cutting Up, KelBeCuttinup. Allie Jones is the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check Allie and check Allie. She is a fashion designer, recent graduate fashion, BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Columbia College, Chicago fashion designer, and a future fashion designer superstar. Check out Allie Jones and her Lexi Jones collection on IG, on Instagram. Check it out. You can check it out right now. LX.N like Nanette, C like Charlie, L like Lexi, underscores that little dash. LX.NCL underscore. And shout out to Bruce Gage, also wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check Mr. Bruce Gage out on IG, on Instagram. You can type in the little search magnifying glass, the icon, you can type in Bruce Gage, but Mario Uomo is his signature collection. Mario Uomo. Now, Uomo is spelled with a U. It's got the W, like the W-O sound, Uomo, but that's an Italian surname. So just type in Mario, M-A-R-I-O. Now, Uomo is spelled with a U. U like umbrella, O like Oprah, M like Mary, O like opera. Mario Uomo, or the Flyball Collection. All right, thank you, everybody. Folks are still posting in my my chat room. So leave your comments when the show is over. If you haven't done it, leave your comments in the comments section. That's so important. That also helps my show and my media company out. So we'll start getting those checks with YouTube. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you to all my subscribers from day one. We are rapidly approaching the initial threshold, 1,000 new subscribers. I'll start getting some of that, getting that YouTube bag. My goal is to get 100,000. I'm shooting for 1 million, so I'm speaking that into existence. But my goal is to get my goal is to get 100,000 in the next 6 months. So spread the word for me. Tell everybody to please subscribe to the channel. It's free, and share every episode. Copy and paste the link in an email and a text message. You can tag other people's page, share it on their page, screen grab, rip some of the video, like, binge watch all my back episodes. Leave your comments in the comment section. I love you. We'll see you Friday. Yes, there will be a Friday weekend review show right here on the Geno Jones Show, on the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Love you. Thanks for watching. Rest in peace, Mike. Rest in peace, brother.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.